Welcome to the Spark Up Biz podcast. And today, I'm Michelle Mattice. I'm with Spark Up Biz, and we're with Paul Finkelstein today with the OMG Talk podcast, correct? I got it
And
right.
small business podcast. Either
And
one's good.
small business podcast. Guru of all, right?
Hmm?
Guru of all, because you do a lot with a couple different businesses and help small businesses develop. So you have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, we're more alike than we are different.
Yeah. So, what's the number one thing that you love helping businesses with? Because you do the podcast, you help with Medicare, you help with you even have Toastmasters going. So, what's the number one thing that you love helping businesses with all of that?
Today, the best thing I love helping businesses with are two things, two skills. What do you think those two skills are that most businesses need? I'll give you a hint. It's based on two body parts that is usually from the neck up, and that is your ears for listening and your mouth for talking.
There you go. So, how did you get involved in Toastmasters? I'm curious.
So you right away went to Toastmasters. Assume that the
Like,
ears for listening and the mouth for talking is Toastmasters, because some people think that Toastmasters is that toaster that's sitting in the corner by itself at Walmart waiting for someone to pick up so somebody could burn toast or make a toast at a wedding. But actually, you would think a lot of businesses that you have to market to find customers. Somebody didn't market to find me to get me to a Toastmaster meeting. Somebody actually I don't think they have print magazines anymore. You have to print out the Toastmaster magazine. And in that magazine, somebody ripped out the tear sheet, one whole side of the magazine, and mailed the article to me and did not put a return address. That was so nice of them. So I didn't know who it was, but they anonymously said, "Hey, Paul, you should check this out." And maybe they just were not confident in marketing. Maybe they just didn't want to tell me that to offend me if they thought that I needed Toastmasters. I think everybody needs Toastmasters. I don't think anybody should be offended by telling people about Toastmasters. I think that Toastmasters should be for the new person, the seasoned person, and the person that loves competition and contest. Because in August, there's an international speech contest that's only 5 or 7 minutes long. But can you talk for 5 or 7 minutes and win a world championship? Go check out the YouTubes that say World Champion Toastmasters and look at those calendar champion talks. You would be in awe at it. And I don't care what level any of the people that we both know that are small business owners, they could be making lots of money, but it's a whole different thing when it comes to really craft. Maybe they can make even more money if they talk the way these world champions spoke.
there you go. I
That's
think
why I think
every
sparkupbiz.com would be perfect venue for a business entrepreneur mastermind Toastmaster club.
Well, you started one on Friday mornings at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So they can join for free and they can join you every Friday morning and get some practice. I think that business professionals of any level and of any size business just need more confidence and need to practice how they present themselves, no matter how long they've been in the game. Because I know that I worked for a Fortune 100 company that used to record our phone calls, and when we'd have to listen back to those recordings, there were times I would just go, oh my God, because you do things you don't realize that you're doing. You make noises, you have tics, you have facial expressions, you wave your hands because I'm Italian, so there's a lot of different things that people do that they don't even realize they do when they're talking. So I love
Luckily,
Toastmasters for that.
luckily they can't hear the gestures over the phone if
Yeah.
it's, but they can sense if you're smiling or not.
Yeah.
Somehow.
So that same company actually would put mirrors over their call people. Yeah. So they
There's
would,
a mirror right there.
there you go. So they would have a smile on their face while they were talking because you can hear when someone's having a cranky day, and you can hear when someone's happy or at least smiling and faking it. So there's a
When you're
difference.
happy and you know it, what do? Ask your kids.
There you go. So what is what clap? My grandbaby should be here and then clapping for us. So, what is your favorite Toastmaster experience? What was your favorite Toastmaster experience you've had so far?
I'll have to go. I was looking through my laptop and I could not find this speech that I got asked to talk at a conference locally in South Florida for the first time in front of, say, 250 people, just not quite 300, but probably about 250 or so. And even if it was on Zoom, getting that many, I haven't had that experience, but to talk in front of 200 people live and in person on a stage with lights on you and you're talking into the audience, I'm glad it was just an inspirational speech for 2 minutes. And it felt so good to do that. And I know I got applause, but I think maybe part of it was they had to clap because they were Toastmasters.
Hmm.
And that's the great and the beauty thing of going to a Toastmaster meeting is you can get used to people clapping for you and use that as a push yourself up to more success. And so you can guarantee yourself applause, listening skills, and speaking skills, and a ton more.
What would you tell someone who is like an introvert who the very idea of talking in front of a crowd or even a couple people would make them nervous? What advice would you give to them?
I moved the perfect book. Oh, wait, here it is. I have to get it. I can reach over to it.
Stretch.
The, this book here is the perfect book
Hmm.
that you should give to an introvert, which is Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers, PhD, more than 2 million sold. I'm not trying to sell this book. It's just a great book. Just take it and get the paperback so you could underline in it and you could absorb it. But every single page that I've read in all the chapters focuses on literally this one title, Do It Anyway. That action step, that jumping into it is so key because you cannot experience it unless you experience it.
Hmm. True.
Taking action really does help cure a lot of that fear. And I think that another book, Think and Grow Rich, which I'm sure you've heard of by Dr. Napoleon Hill, every single chapter in that book is so valuable. But the last chapter talks about six ghosts, which relates to the six fears. And then you turn a couple of pages and it says the seventh fear. So out of those seven fears, if you eliminate the seven fears, you could accomplish millions of dollars. And of course, we're on our way if we're not there yet. And I'm still working to get past that first million. How many people go through how many lifetimes and they're still working at it?
Hmm.
That's why 95% of people depend on Social Security. If we could make more people not depend on Social Security, then we've achieved our mission.
Which goes hello, which also goes into your you help Medicare patients and you do financial planning with people and you help small businesses. So there's a lot of fear in those as well, especially with, the small business. Let's go into the small business aspect of fear because a lot of people are too afraid to start their own business or because they don't know what they're getting into or they get in over their heads. And your podcast is great because it identifies a lot of different avenues and a lot of different business peoples and things that people could try or be interested in or work with. So, how did you get into that?
Podcast or starting
Yeah.
a business?
Well,
The
no,
podcast,
yeah, the podcast. Because I
well,
bet
for
you've
the
met some really neat people doing that.
the big deal about interviewing small business owners is that I wanted to network. And I thought that would be a great way to do a one-to-one with business owners is just have, instead of having a phone call, have a podcast with businesses. So now you could have a collection instead of going to BNI and going every single week or any networking group that you pay to go. And it's one person per category usually. I could have a collection of 100 of them. And out of 100 small businesses that I've had on my podcast, hopefully a small number of them, believe it or not, they get busy. Maybe some of them are not local. So I focused on, there was one mutual website. I guess I'll mention it briefly, hesitantly, called Alignable. And I met some people from there, maybe like 200 people that I interviewed. And the people were great, just that we parted ways to keep it positively because we went in different interests. they don't like social media. I love social media. So I'll leave it at that. Or, but to make myself not sidetracked, having a network of small business owners would, finding the ones that want to actually help each other grow each other's businesses. I'm looking for that versus just 200 businesses that are just waiting for me to give them referrals. I would love for the business owners that want to help each other grow. I'm like always the one where I have somebody's business card on my desk and I say, "Oh, okay, this person mows lawns." Great. So now I'm at a meeting with somebody and I go, why do I out of the blue, like like you say, you joke and say you talk to a tree and you could just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. I used to be more introverted and I really am reserved where I don't really want to walk up to people in the grocery store and talk to them, but I could and should and force myself to do it. But I think that I'm the kind of person that if somebody says something else, I'll pivot and say, "Oh, by the way, do you like your lawnmower guy?" And I have nothing to do with the lawn. And if they say no and this person's local, I'll say, "You should try Joe and here's his number." Now, how many people go out of their way to do that and say, "Well, do you like where you network?" And if you don't like where you network, why don't you check out sparkupbiz.com? Because Doug, thank you, God, thank Doug and Michelle, they're doing a good thing. I even put a coupon on the top of my Linktree page that says $10 off.
Why, thank you. We appreciate that. I think Spark Up Biz has we're launching this and it's launched and we just need to get people on the platform and grow it and it is growing slowly and surely. But I've met so many great different businesses and business people on there. And I love the fact that you mentioned that you've met all these businesses and that you know the difference between a referral and the people. I, I find on other platforms that a lot of people will come and just uh, pitch slap. I use that expression, pitch slap, where they're just dumping what they sell. They don't want to build the relationship. They don't want to find out about what you do. They just want to tell you what they do and then be gone. Which, when you're building those referral relationships, even if you're in a networking referral group where you have that sole industry seat, when I throw a networking event, when I'm hosting a networking event, I always remind people, let other people know what a good referral would look like for you. Because a lot of times, unless you educate me, I'm not going to know. I know it's good for my business because that's my business, but I don't necessarily know what would be a good referral for you, for your business. So you have to tell people that when you do networking. So I'm going to ask you, what would be a good referral for you, for your business, for your podcast, for who would you like to be sent?
I'll start with the easy thing because there are some businesses where it's so niche oriented that you just have to look for a certain number.
Hmm.
So if somebody's 3 months before their 65th birthday, that is the ideal person for my wife and I's Medicare business.
Hmm.
So we educate the two things about the business is we educate them about Medicare because I don't know why, but how the hell is somebody supposed to be? I don't know if those are the right choices of words, but how the hell is somebody supposed to be um, understand the clarity of Medicare, which there's so many moving parts to it at 65 years old, when the last thing they want to do is learn and get and take more education. They want things simple and wind down and be taken care of for the rest of their life with their health care.
Hmm.
And of course, some of them go into it like jumping into a pool, and it might be the wrong decision. And there's
Yeah.
two different ways, basically, two different forks that you can go. You could take this fork or this fork, like Robert Frost's famous thing, the road less traveled by, this one or that one. And maybe the road less traveled by might be the better way versus to go the way everybody is going because the TV says everything is free. So we like to educate you to say why it's free and what it is. And if you're super healthy and you know you're going to stay that way for the rest of your life, and you have a crystal ball, mine's still in the shop and it's broken and it doesn't work, And if you find one that works, then send one to me. But we had with that, so 65, 3 months before 65, perfect time to get educated about it. And you should call, I know you should call Paul and Sarah Finkelstein. Are you allowed to sell yourself?
You
Is
can
that
sell yourself. This is all about finding
yeah,
about you and your
right.
businesses. So yeah, please.
So
And we'll
that's
make
that's
sure it's
one
in
of them,
comments.
very niche oriented. As far as Toastmasters go, it's like me giving back because it's a volunteer position. It's volunteers helping volunteers. That's why the price is so darn low. It should be $10,000 for this morning session at 7:30 on sparkup.biz, launching Toastmasters Entrepreneurs Mastermind for with Toastmasters. It should be like $10,000 people pay, but it's $60 for 6 months. You add that, divide that up on your calculator and figure out how many cents that is per day.
Mhm.
And figure out the value you get to learn how to use this, and a whole bunch more. But the people that could use that the best, I would say the way you can get to the masses is by asking business owners if they would like to come experience Toastmasters, and especially businesses, give them the opportunity to talk for 1 minute about their business for free as a guest. And we'll allow two businesses to talk for 4 to 6 minutes and introduce them business for free
Nice.
on sparkupbiz.com. And I can't guarantee you can go to any club to get to let a new guest talk for 4 to 6 minutes for free. But as we're building a new club, I think that's a irresistible offer that any business should take advantage of. And come to sparkupbiz.com, talk for 4 to 6 minutes. And I have timer cards that are green, yellow, and red. And it keeps everything organized and time management. And I promise within 1 hour, we will be done, and it won't be one of those meetings that ramble and ramble and ramble and ramble and ramble, and then you have to get back to work. And you don't even know if it was worthwhile. I think you'll be able to see that there's so much value from it. And I don't even remember what the question was. And I was talking about Toastmasters. Oh, what the ideal customer for Toastmasters is small businesses could come and they could talk for 4 to 6 minutes. Now, the average talk at 4 to 6 minutes is really an introductory speech. 5 to 7 minutes is your average speech. But we would allow for a special occasion because we want more people to get more speaking practice and developing their speeches. We want two speakers minimum per hour period, and then 2 to 5 impromptu talks. And then there's some evaluations that take place and some other roles to consume that full hour. So if you're expecting to go to a Toastmaster meeting and try to derail the meeting, it's not the meeting for you.
There you go. So I'm going to go back to your Medicare for a second because that's your bread and butter for your wife and you.
Or
So what would you say is the number one misconception that 64-year-olds about to turn 65 have when they get inundated with all these, sign up for this for free and all of these, and I call them gimmicks because in today's day and age, there is nothing for free. There's always a catch to it in fine print, which at the age of 64, you might not be able to read. So, what is the biggest misconception that they have, or the biggest challenge do you think that they have?
I guess the first myth would be it's free. Since you said nothing is free, and then you just have to really find someone that you trust, that you feel comfortable talking with, whether I mean they teach us in Toastmasters that you have to watch your tone of voice. So 38% of all speeches are tone of voice. 38% of your content is tone of voice. 55% is gestures and body language and eye contact, and maybe 7 or 8% is content. Of course, you do have to sound intelligent. It doesn't sound like I'm really putting a whole lot of emphasis on the knowledge and the education when it's only 7%. But the delivery and on that 7% knowledge is what really matters, because people I think are going to more buy from you based on how you made them feel.
Mhm.
Now, what was the question you asked?
Um, what's the biggest challenge that 64-year-olds who are about to age into 65 face when they're going into Medicare and choosing what they're doing?
I think the challenge, I think, is finding somebody that they can trust. And usually How do you find someone you trust? Do you trust the person at your pool? Do you trust the person at your church? Do you just not trust your family, your friends, and you just go onto Google and you give up and you just go tap, 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 and you go, okay, I'm gonna just call John because he was on the internet there, and I'll see what he says. And then I'll call like the plumber. I'll call five plumbers so I can get five different estimates, and one will give a high bid, one will give a low bid, one will give a medium bid. But in Medicare land, when it comes to a Medigap policy or a supplement, they're all standardized. And then, of course, the advantage plans or the so-called free premium plans that are not free, but the premium is, they're they're standardized too, but they also have all these bells and whistles that you could be easily confused. So I think it's worthwhile to work with an agent who handles Medicare and specializes in Medicare, and the agent doesn't get paid an extra commission. So if you go direct to the company, you don't have an agent that's local to your area, most likely. And those agents, of course, are getting probably a salary with the company versus an independent agent is getting a commission, but they're getting a commission from the company, and it doesn't cost extra on top of to work with the agent. So if you work with an agent, some companies let us actually go in and assist them. Other companies don't want us to assist them. So I think it pays to work with an independent agent and work with someone that somebody has enough faith and knowledge, like as I get to know Michelle and Doug. I go, okay, Paul and Sarah, they're nice people. Maybe they could sit down, and Sarah's better than me, like you're better than Doug. You're our boss babes, as you might say. And brave, maybe I'm just a smart husband. And I think that, right. So, and I think that having somebody, I think also two heads is better than one, especially if it's husband and wife. And if you could work with two agents for the same commission, for the same education,
There you go.
you're getting two for one, really. And who doesn't want a BOGO?
There's a lot of moving parts to Medicare and all the different plans too, and you're educated, and most people that are signing up for them, it's a fighting an uphill battle because there's so much stuff out there too. I know that. I have a friend who actually turned 65 when he was in the hospital, and he'd been in the hospital for over a month. He's like, I've got to sign up, and I don't know what I'm done. Like, I can't advise you. And it was before I met you. So I would have sent him to you.
But quick quiz though, how many parts are Medicare? Oh, I just gave it away. How many parts are Medicare?
Four?
That's right. There are four parts. Now, the first part
I,
is like the alphabet. So there's A, B, C, D, E. There's only four: A, B, C, and D. So A is the hospital, everything in the hospital. B, everything is outside of the hospital. C is an alternative to original Medicare called the Advantage plans. And that's a whole other animal. And then D is for drugs versus B for boy, part B is outside the hospital for doctors.
okay.
So D for drugs. Those are
See,
the four parts. That's probably I should just stop there because see, like when you get to 65, why would a senior want to be educated like they're back in school again? And I always joke with Sarah and I say, how old are they? How old are they? How old are they? How old are they? I'm like, they're all 65. And they're all back in school again. And when was the last time you were back in school where everybody's your age, like first grade, second grade, third grade? Now you're back in school and everybody look around the room and you're all in the same boat. You're all 65. So we just did two workshops in Boynton Beach and Boca Raton and Delray Beach. Those are the closest cities to us in Florida, about 3 hours south of Orlando, 50 miles north of Miami Beach, and 2 hours east of Tampa. But we're licensed in all of Florida. And of course, my wife has licenses in about 5 or 6 other states.
that'll
Some
keep you
states are
busy.
some states are Medicare friendly, other states are not so much. So it might be worth it for us to refer somebody to a couple of states.
Are there any big changes coming out in the next year or so that's in the Medicare systems that are making anybody nervous or that people should be aware of?
The biggest changes that I think people are nervous about is the alternative to the original Medicare, the Medicare Advantage plans, a lot of those can be terminated.
Oh,
And
wow.
there and a lot of uh, procedures. I'm trying to think of the term not coming to the tip of my tongue.
Prior
A lot
auths?
of some things could be declined. Uh, certain payments, certain if it's declined by Medicare, it's possible that you could still appeal it. And of course, it's probably a headache to go through all that, but they could try to do that. And some people don't do that. And then, or their plan might get terminated. So that's why we might educate people and tell them, is it possible that we could get somebody into a Medigap policy, even a high deductible Medigap supplement plan that has maybe up to a $3,000 deductible for the year, say. Then the premium is still low. Instead of paying hundreds of dollars per month, what if somebody could pay $80 a month? I'm wondering if $80 a month is squeezable to some, but some people it's not. Every little penny makes a difference. So everybody's in a different boat. And that's why when somebody comes to one of our workshops and somebody yells out, can you just tell me a price? How much would it be per month? And I'm like, well, I don't want to embarrass somebody. Somebody in here might not afford a supplement plan. But the great plan is Plan G, which is standardized across all the carriers. It's a supplement plan. I call it great because it's great. It's the greatest plan you could ever get because it's the most comprehensive plan. And that plan is standardized across the whole board. But you could get a high deductible plan that could be as maybe $80. And then you can go to any doctor that accepts Medicare. What if you can do that and not mess with PPOs and HMOs?
Oh my, yeah. Those can be fun.
And if you could just skip the PPO, skip the HMO, go anywhere you want that accepts Medicare, wouldn't that be better?
If so, say I'm looking for, I'm not quite at the Medicare age yet.
Me too.
So if what would be the first thing that I should consider if I am in perfect health? What would you tell me?
Third thing you consider if you're in perfect health is you could do, if you wanted to save money for the first year. And another thing I should tell you too is if you happen to work for a company that has over 20 employees, it could be credible coverage and you could not have to go on Medicare and stay on that group plan. That's the first way people could save money on Medicare is stay on your group plan if it has more than 20, usually more than 20 employees. If it has 120 employees, it's most likely not credible coverage in the eyes of Medicare. Then you could consider the free premium plan, but not the free plan because there's probably going to be a maximum out of pocket, which could be up to $13,000.
Wow.
And if you're not healthy, that could be not so good news.
I was gonna say, what if I'm falling apart?
Right. So if you're falling apart, then you're probably the worst case scenario is to take a 3,000 deductible plan. I'm just guessing. Everybody's different. All the companies are different. But say you can get $80 a month and it covers you anywhere.
Okay.
That would be your worst best case scenario.
Okay. So if they were
Oh, but
trying,
you do also have to make sure too that you don't miss getting a drug plan.
yeah,
If you miss it, you'll get a late enrollment penalty, and that gets tacked on every month for the rest of your life, for every year and every month that you miss it.
that's not
So
good.
you don't want to miss signing up for a drug plan if you get a supplement plan. If you get the free premium plan, it comes with the drug plan and other things that are free, and that's when it starts to get confusing
I could see
for
that.
those. Mhm.
So it's probably before someone were to meet with you, what would you want them to? It is like, there any homework that I should do if I were to sign up for an appointment with you and your wife that would make your life easier? Like, how should I prepare for a meeting with you?
Sarah always leads people through how to sign up for Medicare to if they're ready for it, for Part A and Part B on the Medicare.gov site or SSA.gov. And then if they are going to sign up for Medicare and they no longer and they're ready, and there are people that are under 65 because they have disability, and then those people are on Medicare. So if they're on disability, then we can get them Medicare as well. When they get to 65, of course, it'll probably be more money though. So that's another challenge as well.
Okay.
But the things that are important though, when you get there, the laundry list or checklist that people need to have is maybe if they definitely don't want to give up doctors, then if they let us know their doctors, we could see what what area, if they're even on Medicare, their doctor. But they probably could ask their doctor. But we can go on to Medicare.gov and check for them, or they could check for themselves and show them how to do that on Medicare.gov. It's easy for us to do it, but it might be a foreign if websites are foreign for people, then it might be like, what do you call it, when someone doesn't want to do an activity and they're forced to do it? Is there like a phrase for that?
Procrastination.
No, like when you force
T-
someone to do something that they don't want to do. I, like walking on
Water.
thin ice, walking
Thin
on thin
ice.
ice, or something worse, peeing on electric fence, something like learning the hard way. If you like to learn the hard way, that's one thing. If you want to find a trusted person that's patient to help you walk you through the process, that's where Mr. and Mrs. Medicare or Sarah and Paul Finkelstein come into play. I did make a website called
Hmm.
yourmedicarelady.com, which has a video of my boss, Babe, or Medicare expert. She's been doing it longer than me for 15, 20 years. I grew up outside of the Medicare area, but I saw everything that she does. I've been to all of her workshops. And then this past year, when I helped her through the, what do you call it, open enrollment period in October to December, or annual enrollment period, there's like 5 or 6 different enrollment periods depending on people's circumstances. Like if they move, that then they get certain perks, if you will. If other situations come up, if their plan gets terminated, you know, versus the first time you go on Medicare, it's pre-existing conditions, it's okay. The first time you go on to Medicare, and then other circumstances, and then beyond that, then that's the why you have to make the right decision, because when you get past all those little things, then there could be a big thing where you can't switch back to a supplement plan where you don't have to worry about authorizations, referrals, um, versus it being all covered for you.
So if so you look into what doctors are on the plans that would match the people that are coming
So
to you.
doctors, we might check medications to see if those are covered, and then we could plug those into the site, Medicare.gov. You can do that yourself as well, or we could help do that too. So we check the doctors, we check the medications, and it's all by your zip code. So you put in your zip code, put in your doctors, and we see what doctors are available in your area. Some
Okay.
take HMOs, some take PPOs, and of course, everybody that accepts Medicare would love to take a supplement plan because they're probably going to get money. Because you ever
There.
get those explanation of benefits bills in the mail, and it looks like the doctor is getting more money on a supplement plan than as if an Advantage plan.
All right then. I'm just trying. I live in the woods, so I'm thinking that the zip code, hoping it's a big area when my time comes.
Right? How many people live in your zip code?
Not many. But I think we probably have more deer and bear than people. And
So it could be good, maybe. Maybe for the kicks, you could, even though you're not old enough yet, you can go to Medicare.gov and type in your zip code where it says, here, I thought we're on a Zoom for a second, but we're technically on a podcast. So instead of sharing a screen later, you could go to the website, Medicare.gov. At the top, it says drugs and health plans. Click on that, then click on your zip code, and then see what comes up if you put in a doctor, just for kicks.
that, I might just do that. I'm a ways away from that, but I'm now you're making me curious. So
You'll be curious to see what comes up
it
since it's a
would
small area. And you
It is.
probably have people in that area that are 65 that are on
Oh,
Medicare.
yeah.
Somebody's parents, somebody's grandparents.
You know what? So in our area, I would just go into Stewart. So there's a chain of regional gas stations and ice cream shops called Stewart's. And any
Hmm.
day of the week, you go in and there's a coffee club basically that sits there, and they're pretty much all Medicare probably eligible, if not already on it. So, are there any
Hmm.
deadlines or anything that people need to be concerned about? Like, I have to sign up by this date every year, or I have to sign up for this plan by, age 65, or I'm too late and I'm out up the creek.
If somebody's already on Medicare and they have a supplement plan, they should, they probably are, oh, they probably are in their supplement plan. They're happy. They probably don't want to change unless something happens different with their finances and forces them to change. But their drug plan, they could always check their drug plan every year between October and December.
Okay.
And if they want to know the specifics about that, we could walk them through it. But the drug plan, they might want to check from year to year. Usually there's a free plan, and most tier one and tier two drugs are usually on that free plan. But the tier three, four, and five are the more expensive drugs. And then it maybe they might want to investigate that. But that's just for the drugs. If they're not on original Medicare and a supplement plan, they might every year they have an opportunity to explore other plans to make sure their plan is the most cost-effective plan for them. But everybody's situation apparently is different. Everybody's
What's
everybody's tastes are different too. Like I have this white wall. Somebody probably would prefer to have nice green color or that color you have on there. So we have totally different paint here. So maybe you'll have a different plan that I have just because we have different tastes.
What's the biggest misconception do you think people have about, turning 65 and the Medicare and all of that?
First thing that comes off my head is it free? I mean, I don't know if it's a misconception or not that if you paid into the system and you worked for over 10 years, then you already paid for through your employer part A. And then you get B, then you have to decide about C or a supplement plan.
Okay. What happens for people that were self-employed?
If you're self-employed, then you have to decide on what are you paying currently. Actually, there's some people that are employed, even if it's more than 20 employees and they have credible coverage, they could still be paying more than they would be paying on Medicare. So we still want to check out for them if we could save them money on Medicare.
Hmm.
Some of them might be paying more money than their group plan. What if they have such a amazing group plan, and they pay? What if your husband works for a company and it's, I don't know, I didn't even ask him how many employees work for where he works, but if it's got 1,000 employees, and those are the people he wants to do the public speaking for. But if they had a humongous amount of employees and each one pays $20 a month for their health insurance, and it's an amazing plan, they probably want to stay on that plan because they're going to be shocked when they pay for Medicare, and they're going to have to pay about $200 for Part B, which is for the doctors. Their Part A for the hospitals might be fine, but then there's some gaps that they want to take care of. And what if they go the supplement route and it costs them several $100s? That's gonna be more than $20. Then he's gonna cry. So a lot of people actually, one misconception too is I pay nothing for Part B. A lot of people think that they pay nothing for Part B, but they forget that if they're on Social Security, it comes deducted automatically from their Social Security check.
Mhm.
So they forget they pay Part B, and that Part B is about a couple $100.
Okay.
But
Hmm.
if you're not on Social Security yet because you choose to wait until, say, 70 because you want a bigger check, if you wait, then you go on Medicare at 65, which is before 70, right? Last time I checked my math,
Yeah. Yeah.
65 is before 70. Then you have to go on and apply for Medicare, and then they will bill you. And usually it's 3 months in advance.
Okay. So what would you say? is like your favorite person that you've helped? Like, what's your favorite story of all the people you've helped before, in your career getting Medicaid? And what's your favorite one? We've all got one. So what's yours?
Well, the favorite people that we love to service are the ones that actually they are perfectly fine doing the work. They even probably do some of the homework, but they want someone to just help do some of the things. Like it's good to have somebody be delegated to do something. Like, do you want to do all the housework in your house? Or do you want someone to do a little bit of it so you don't have to do all of it? So if somebody that's okay with somebody doing some of the work for them is probably the ideal customer. If somebody is just unhappy and they want to do everything themselves and they have no hobbies, it, it might not be the best fit, but that person probably still wants us to do it. But are they going to be easy to work with? I don't know. Everybody's different, right? Hopefully, I would love to say everybody's the perfect ideal customer, but some people you run into are just not easy customers.
That's true.
And maybe sometimes that easy person is when we look in the mirror and go, am I an easy customer or am I not?
Depends on if you ask my husband or not.
We'll have to ask him what if he's an easy customer.
If
And
he's
or
an
we
easy customer or if I'm an easy customer.
that probably the tough part is looking into the mirror and ask yourself that tonight and then look at all the things that you purchase and how you purchase it and then determine if you're easy or not.
Go ahead and ask
We
him
don't.
next time you talk to him. I want to know the answer when he says, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
What would your
See if
wife
it,
say about you?
I think that she would say I'm an easy customer because I want to go have fun and play and I don't want to mess around with all this computer stuff. But on my desk over here, I have like three post-it notes on this side that have all the phone numbers of a few carriers that we work with passwords for each of them.
Oh, there you go.
And so if somebody needs to use Aetna or Humana or United Healthcare or United American, at least 4 or 5 different companies is enough to play around with to come up with 5 or 10 plans for each one of them. So if we can't come up with 50 different plans to work with somebody and they can't be happy from that, I think it's kind of ludicrous that we would have to look up 300 plans. Who has time for that?
In your experience, what are the like top three carriers for that people rave about in the industry?
Well, a lot of people get steered to that ARP thing because of their magazines,
Hmm.
which is United Healthcare.
Hmm.
But I think that people should pay attention to medical loss ratios. That was the latest thing that we've been studying and looking at different carriers based on that. And if a carrier has a low premium but a high medical loss ratio, and then a next higher premium and then a next higher premium, and then you look at how long the companies are in existence. So if they've been doing it for 60 years since day one in Medicare, usually that's a more stable, secure company with minimal premium increases. They're all going to have premium increases for sure. So if you don't pick the right if you based on the premium now, maybe you should pick your Medicare company based on the premium if it's a supplement, or you want to pick it based on how stable their increases are for their premiums. Of course, it doesn't matter if you're going with the free premium plan, but what does matter is, do you really want the free premium plan? Is probably the $1 million question of the day.
Well, one last question before we wrap up, and I appreciate everything that you're telling us because I've learned a ton. Are there any companies that you would just cringe at because you've heard nightmare stories about?
What was that question?
Have you heard any nightmare stories from your customers going, "Oh, I wish I'd never worked with," or, they gave me such a hard time. Do you have any of those that you would recommend steering away from?
The only nightmares that we really have heard is when we're dealing with nurses. We've probably dealt with at least three, four, or five, maybe collection of 10 nurses that turn 65. They want on Medicare, and almost all of them, being in healthcare, would say if you could help it, get a supplement plan, do yourself a favor. It's worth the extra price for minimal headache.
Okay. Very cool. So, how would they get a hold of you? And I will put this on our a screen after we fade out. But how would they get a hold of you best?
Reach through your camera, grab my neck, pull me into your living room, and say, sign me up for Medicare and teach me this, Paul and Sarah, now.
There you go.
Okay, the realistic way is you might be in Georgia or New York or Tennessee, and we're in Florida. And so we meet with people in an office in Boca Raton on Glades Road and Federal Highway in the middle of Boca Raton, Florida area, or on Zoom. Obviously, you can save a lot of gas and travel time and time and time and time. I mean, we're only getting any younger.
And gas is
So,
only getting more expensive right now. So,
right at the moment, yes. Maybe we'll get a break eventually.
it would be nice. It was 78 bucks this week. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my goodness. Well, thank you so much. And they can connect with you at Toastmasters on Spark Up Biz on Friday mornings. And you're hosting a coffee hour too on Thursday mornings. So that's a free networking event on sparkupbiz.com. So if they wanted to connect with you there, they can sign up for the platform and just go to the live networking link on the left-hand side of the page. And you're doing that every Thursday. We hope that grows for you as well. So thank you so much for chatting with me. I totally appreciate it, and I've loved learning more about you and your business. Just a quick shout out for your podcast. If someone is a small business and wants to be featured on your podcast, what's the best way to do that? Should they reach out to you on LinkedIn or Spark Up Biz, or what's the best way to do that?
For the easy, quick way is just text OMG to 561-302-0051, like James Bond.
Ooh,
An advanced James Bond. It's closer to my age, but not quite. I'm off by about 5 or 6 years, but as a hint. But and I think also, as don't let age get to you, but I think that when you're past 50, my wife is finding out. I didn't say her age or anything, but I married more mature. I'll leave it at that. Um, and the biggest thing is that you should stay active. If you could stay active, meaning walk if you can't jog. If you can't run, then walk past your mailbox and then do that 10 times a day. Anything to do more stretching. I think a lot of my wife's friends are stretching more past 50.
good
So if you
advice.
could, if you're working at a chair like that, for sure, maybe take a 5 minute break every hour and touch your toes 4 times.
There you go. Good advice.
And
Thank-
touch the ceiling too. So that stretches the shoulders and then down below.
I'm a little too short for that
What to do what?
to touch the
Touch the
ceiling.
ceiling? No, I mean don't touch the ceiling, but
Okay.
aim to the ceiling so you stretch out your shoulders.
I was gonna say, Paul, I'm looking up at it and going, yeah, that even on a good day, I would need a
Pick
ladder.
a spot and aim at the ceiling. I
Much
stand
better.
correct.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We're gonna wrap up and we'll see you around sparkupbiz.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much.